Hi and welcome to Kathleen's Place. Today our video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be outside today. We're going to be doing the part 2 to the purity culture video. Hi and welcome to Kathleen's Place. This is part 2 of the purity culture and how damaging it is. But today we're going to be talking about hope and some healing that goes along with my last video, which will be up here, so that you can take a look at that if you have not seen it yet. Stay tuned. So in my last video, I shared about some lingering facts of how the purity culture damages people. Not only ladies, but men. And I gave part of my experience, which I hadn't planned on doing. So I did share with you that unfortunately, I was not a virgin at marriage, but in saying this, I started learning and growing and understanding that I was not damaged goods, as I had been taught and told many times throughout my life. The purity culture teaches to be pure. And to them, purity means not having sex before marriage. They don't really talk too much about the purity of heart, but more so the purity of, I guess, virginity. I have other words that I could use, but I won't. So after being used in Bible college by a guy, I went off to my missions internship for 9 months and ended up meeting somebody who I thought would respect me and love me for who I was and for me. But because neither of us knew how to communicate, and we were both more immature than what we both thought we were, the beginning of our marriage was very stressful. I had dated a guy in high school who was not a Christian. And after 2 years, we ended up having sex. And this never was my desire, never was something that I wanted. But it did end up happening. And I did allow it to happen. So I thought, the only way I can get away from this is going to Bible college, and there I'll be safe because there will be like-minded people who want to do what is right and want to serve God and help others. So in my husband that I started dating in Mexico, when we were still dating, he had told me that my past doesn't matter and that he doesn't want to know about it, but I'm not great at keeping secrets. I didn't tell him right away because I had a couple experiences where one was the guy that abused me and the second one was someone who didn't get a chance to abuse me. I was afraid that he was going to do the same thing and just abuse me and leave me. So I didn't tell him about not being a virgin until we were engaged, or maybe a few days before. But I only told him about the first guy, not the second, because the second one was at Bible college. And I was embarrassed and ashamed, and I did not know how to tell him. And I figured that I had already lost my virginity, so it shouldn't really matter. But of course it did. So when my husband found out, we had only been married for a few months. I was pregnant with our first child. And he was very, very angry and hurt because he thought I was deceiving him. He thought I was basically trying to trap him because the purity culture teaches that if, a lady has lost their virginity, they're just trying to trap you into being with them and being married to them. Whereas for me, I wanted to find somebody who would love and respect me for who I am, as I would to do the same for them. The purity culture and him desiring to marry a virgin and wanting to be my hero, I guess. What's the word for it? My knight in shining armor, which I never felt I ever needed, a knight in shining armor, except for I did want to be saved from the second guy at Bible college and the shame that came with it. But due to the teaching and indoctrination of the purity culture, and partially by finding out about the second guy by default, but like I said, I was very fearful. And it did affect our intimacy over the years. When my husband would say, I want to love you, I want to accept you for who you are, but I have a very hard time in doing so. And he would pray and he would plead with God to help him. And there were times that different things would happen and he would learn to, or have moments of loving me more, or feeling like he loved me more. But then it would go back to the fighting and blaming and putting everything on me for my past. On my part, I tried to do my best and to beg him to love me, to smile, to be the best wife that I could. I put him on a pedestal because that's how I saw him. And I thought that he could do no wrong, even though there were times that he was less than nice, should I put it that way. And I kept smiling, kept being the good Christian wife, holding on, seeing a hint of change, and then things would go back to the way they were, and fighting and arguing. When I say fighting, I mean arguing. Of course, I felt less than human. I mentioned in my previous video that there were times during my marriage that I had wanted to take my life because I thought my kids and my husband would be better off without me. Somebody who was so dirty and full of shame and full of guilt and had hurt my husband so badly. So as I'd mentioned in other videos, I did ask my husband to leave at one point. We had gotten to the point of him trying more, but I'd have that fear every once in a while that things were going to go back to the way they were and I would be walking on eggshells again, and that I would have my past thrown in my face, and I did. And I couldn't handle that anymore. If Jesus had set me free, I should be able to be free of that and not be living and carrying that weight around for 29 years of my life. So I decided to take a stand and leave. And my oldest two children had said that they would be there for me if that time ever came. So I took my son and my animals and we went to my daughter and her husband's house. That's what we planned, but that was after having to stay for 3 weeks in the home that we were living together. And I packed and cleaned along with my chronic illness and got things done to the best of my ability. And yes, my husband did come back and help with different things, which was not easy for him, but he did. So when I decided that I couldn't handle it anymore, and I packed his bags and put them on the porch. It wasn't easy, but I had come to the place of becoming very cold in my heart, and I didn't even want to be with my husband. We're both of us have always enjoyed cuddling with each other, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do anything, and then that last day, when he threw my past on my face again, I couldn't handle it, and I just took my heart and put it in a box, and at that point the box was sealed. And of course, the decision to leave was not just one incident that happened. It was a long 29 years of different incidences that took place and hurt that was caused. Once I moved into my daughter and son-in-law's house, I was able to breathe. I felt free. I did a lot of healing there and was able to see and untangle my faith and my shame from what was taught as a doctrine and as truth. God never intends us to be or to live in shame or to live in misery. That is not his plan for us. The worth of a human being, a female or a male, is not in their virginity. It isn't who God has created them to be. Now, the reason that I've shared this video and the previous video is, one, for healing. As you can see, I am healing even a little bit more. And two is, I know there's others of you out there who have been hurt and treated less than. And I want you to know that you are not garbage. You are not waste. You are not damaged goods. You are the wonderful and beautiful creation of God. If you don't believe in God, that's okay. You don't need to believe in God. But you are still wonderfully made and beautifully made. You don't have to feel ashamed. You don't have to feel judged. Still be wise with who you talk to and share things with. If you feel like reaching out to me, feel free to send me an email if you don't want to reach out to me here. My email is in my description. It took me a lot of years to learn, and I'm still learning, who I am, who God meant me to be, and that a lot of the teachings out there of Christianity are not good ones because they cause a lot of hate, they cause a lot of grief, and they signal out one sin and call it greater than the rest. And that is not the way God has intended things. Feel free to share your concerns, your ideas, your thoughts with me down below. And like I mentioned before, this is a safe place. Whether you agree with me or not, you can share your comments down below. If you want to unfollow me, that is up to you. I still love you and appreciate you. Now, I will share with you that 7 months after our separation, we have reconciled and are still working, of course, on our marriage. And yes, my husband has recognized that the way that he treated me for many years was not proper and not right. And that there's a very good chance that the purity culture, or the way that he was taught that virginity was my worth, caused him to have those thoughts of hate towards me. So in future videos, I will share a little bit more of our reconciliation story, but I will also be sharing a lot about different teachings in the Christian evangelical church that I feel are not from the Bible. I feel that they are against God and not from God. And there's too many to talk about in one video. So this will be one of my topics probably once a month, in sharing about different topics about Christianity that I feel are not right. I want you to know that you are loved, you are precious, you are wonderful, and you need to be here. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to live a happy life and not a miserable life. I want you to know that here you are welcome. Come as you are. Talk to me in the comments below or send me an email. Take care. I love you lots, and we'll see you on Friday.